Hello and welcome to Advertisers Watching Ads. This is a weekly show where brands watch other brands' ads. My name is Tom Ollerton. I'm the founder of Automated Creative, and we're brought to you by our partners Contagious, who have helped find the ad this week. But before we get to that ad, let's meet this week's guests.
Hi, everyone. I'm Parissa Palmer, Campaign Manager at Attachment.
Hello, I'm Emily Shelley. I'm the MD of Alamy.
And I'm Adam Boyter, CMO at Ecologi.
Fantastic. What a panel. Thanks so much for joining us this week, guys. Do you think it would ever be possible to play tennis against yourself? Probably not. But actually, Michelob have done a fantastic job of making this happen for John McEnroe. Let's see the ads.
Now on the court, John McEnroe.
You cannot be serious. Get away from me!
Welcome to Michelob Ultra, McEnroe versus McEnroe, one of the most exciting moments in the history of tennis.
On one side, John McEnroe playing on a real tennis court.
On the other side, virtual John McEnroe.
Ready to face yourself? Whoa, okay. Bring it on, man. Let's do this. How the hell did they do this?
After analysing every single match in John's career, each avatar was programmed with adaptive artificial intelligence.
An Unreal Engine will control where the robots are positioned, how fast the tennis ball is going to go, and what kind of spin the ball is going to do as well.
To accurately replicate McEnroe's style of play of his career.
This is a fog screen. Technically the smallest molecule of water you can see with your eyes. The cool thing about it is you can project on it.
Which John can slay a ball to, and the ball will pass through that.
You cannot be serious!
And it started out with this one thing.
Hang on, hold my beer.
So what I'd like you to do is vote for how good you thought this was. So 1, 2, 3. What's that, Adam? That's that bit of a mix.
Four, sorry. I'm just trying to...
A 2, a 4, and a 4. Wow. I was completely blown away by this. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. But Emily, what was your take?
I thought this was a brilliant stunt and a brilliant bit of tech in search of a brand rather than a brand in search of a brilliant stunt that told a brand story, if I'm honest. To me, it was a piece of TV with a sponsor. The joy didn't radiate for me. Thought, great bit of telly. Huge amount of viewers. I'm not quite sure what that's got to do with a low alcohol light beer.
I think they've done well by selecting probably one of the most explosive, most exciting tennis players in history, which I think immediately creates that sort of attraction for audiences. The fact he is someone a little bit controversial, he has got a bit of a hot head. We know this is something that audiences definitely take to and certainly engage with. And I think it also helps humanize Michelob as a brand, kind of showing that raw emotion and sort of showcasing his evolution from someone who's quite hot-headed, who didn't typically enjoy the game, to now someone who is sort of reflecting on his career with the brand. And now we can see him sort of enjoy it a lot more.
Do you think he seemed to be enjoying it? I thought he still seemed as angry as ever, if I'm honest. And the other thing I was thinking is if you're going to pick a brand ambassador for a beer, you know, his dad was an alcoholic who kind of died from alcoholism, I believe. He's had addiction problems himself. His first wife was an addict. If I was in that room and as somebody senior in that brand, I'd be thinking, yeah, we're going to get a huge amount of viewers, but are we going to be positioning our brand effectively?
I think it is really bold and risky casting, but there's something about that I think like that would capture my attention a lot more than if we saw, I don't know, a Tim Henman maybe. It makes me sort of look twice. And I think we can see in even this year's Wimbledon, the viewers that someone like Nick Kyrgios kind of got was really interesting and exciting because he wasn't necessarily traditional sportsman in terms of following that etiquette and dress code and things like that. So I think to some degree, it does turn those heads. I think from the brand, it was very risk-taking behavior, which could have gone bad. But I hear you. All of that stuff is definitely sort of huge considerations in that casting process for sure.
I think everyone, particularly an American audience, though, loves the story of redemption. And he's obviously kind of battled his demons, come out the other side. One thing it did remind me of, though, was the Rocky Balboa setup in the film, where they pit a virtual Rocky Balboa versus the current champion of the time. And Rocky Balboa obviously came out on top virtually, and then they had the kind of real life match. So it definitely taps into that kind of zeitgeist. I'm always very cynical about tech being used as a reason to do something. But I think the tech has kind of come of age to allow something like this to happen. I thought it was an excellent execution.
I know they got McEnroe and they got him to make the show, but they didn't get him to, in any other format, endorse the beer. There were no photographs of him that I could find with the beer. You know, they didn't seem to get any line out of him other than something they'd made up for the press release.
I also did think in terms of like product integration, I think that was really, really lacking. Even John, like playing the game on the perimeter of the court, we could have seen branding and advertising there. Obviously understand there are kind of sensitivities between alcohol consumption and sports. It would have been quite nice to see McEnroe enjoy a can after the toughest match ever against his younger self, or have seen audiences consuming the beer, because ultimately that's what Michelob wants these audiences to do, crack open a can and enjoy sporting entertainment.
I think this came off the back of also like a documentary series that he did where he just found it impossible to enjoy his success. I do think it definitely ties back to not worth it if you can't enjoy it. It's kind of like there is a real personal, I think, fit there between brand, redemption, his story, that coming out. I don't know exactly how the inception came about. Based on all the other activations that I've seen on their stuff, I think it's probably the one that stands out the most. But just on face value, I think it's a great execution. He fits the bill. I love that kind of tech.
So what would have made this better?
The whole thing for me was just quite dark, quite gamey, which is fine, and you clearly enjoyed it, but that just doesn't bear any relation to me to the rest of their marketing and the rest of their brand that I've seen, which is all quite white. It's all, it's all about joy. Actually, the Wimbledon aesthetic, that green, that white, would be much more in keeping with the rest of their brand. If I was ESPN, I would have probably found another sponsor if that's where it originated, or if I was, Unit 9 with the tech that actually made more sense.
Could they have had like mini activations where you can you return McEnroe's 1970s serve? Obviously, you don't have the same setup with all the kind of water stuff, but you could have had, an image of him serving at you with a robotic arm. That could have been activated in, local parks or local tennis clubs. Maybe get some kind of grassroots activations there.
I think they could have worked with Serena. So she's one of their brand ambassadors too, Serena Williams. And if you'd done Serena versus Billie Jean King in her day, you'd have a story to tell about the evolution of the women's game. That might have been a bit more compelling.
I think the whole it's not worth it unless you enjoy it. There's definitely that kind of mental health piece to that, isn't it? You've only got to look at young stars like Emma Raducanu, who hasn't really had much success since her, US Open win, and the pressure that younger players feel under. And that's clearly what he felt when he was a younger player, and he now looks back on it. I think, there's definitely that more grassroots mental health within tennis, within sport, that could have been inspired off the back of this.
I started this episode thinking this was great, but now you've turned me off it. So well done. Emily, Parissa, Adam, thank you so much.